Hello, everyone. We welcome you to the Coaches Club Academy and to our first roundtable discussion regarding the role of the coach. We are going to focus on the multiple challenges that a football coach faces in the modern game, preparing the match, during the match, and after the match in his working week. For that, we have three guests to help us find some answers. We have Jordi Solleone from Barcelona. We have who is a sports strategic consultant in Canada. We have Edu Rubio, who works in the Crystal Palace Academy and is the co-founder of the project My Energy Game. And from Portugal, we have Pedro Neto, who currently is the head coach of Portimonense Academy in the Algarve. So one of the challenges that a football manager faces in these days is dealing with aspects that he cannot fully control, like nutrition, the rest schedule, social media exposure. That said, my first question goes to Edu. In your opinion, should a coach be more of a generalist, covering these different aspects of the game and everything that's involved, or should he keep himself as an old school specialist as the coach?
Well, hello everyone, and hello Rui.
Hi.
Glad we can hear you now.
Yeah. I was talking to myself.
Yeah, well, I do that every time.
Yeah.
So, well, for me, it's a very good question, and for me, just to obviously allow everyone else to share their views and not making it too long. No, I'll go for the first option. I think a coach these days has to be someone who needs to understand everything, or needs to make sure that tries to understand about everything. That doesn't mean that they are going to know everything. That doesn't mean that they have to be experts in everything. But what it means is that they have to be interested and genuinely interested in everything, because everything is going to be important in what you do. And also that will help themselves, their own development as coaches and as people, but they will also help obviously the staff, because the staff will feel appreciated and will feel happy and welcome within that environment, because they can see that there is a genuine interest by one of the leading figures of the changing room. And also it will help the players, because if the coach knows a little bit about everything, or tries to know and tries to educate himself or herself, that will obviously have an impact on the kind of coaching programs and conversations that we have with the players. For me, just to finalize the answer, I think it's also important that we don't forget that it's not just about footballs, bibs and cones and going on the grass. I think it's important to be a more rounded person, and especially in the current situation, the current times, I think it's important that when you go into the building, you can also empathize with your staff, your players, and you can talk a lot about many more things than just the technical, tactical aspects of the game on the grass.
Yeah, of course, these new aspects of modern football, they bring new challenges to the players as well. Jordi, do you like to put that responsibility on the players' shoulders when it comes to their behavior outside the pitch, or is it better to assume as much as possible the control of these situations?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. In my opinion, I'm gonna share my opinion. That's something that this is something that I've been changed, I think so, since when I started coaching. Now at the beginning I was like, guys, you have to do this or you must do this. Now I'm like more convincing them, guys, for me you should do this could help you. Take a look about that, or talk with him, or go and talk about that injury and with the doctor. Something that they have to realize that is something good for them. Because when I was a semi-professional player or as a football player, depends of the coach. If the coach put me as a rule, I don't think so that I was able to follow. And I was able after that to follow when I understood what does it mean as a benefit to me. I don't know if the rest of the coaches think the same, or I'm the only one that nowadays we have to convince them, giving them facts or giving them example. And before was more the player has to do this and that's it, done. Like you have to touch the post and you have to touch on the post, or you have to jump or whatever. I don't know the rest what they think about it.
Yeah. Well, it's inevitable to talk about the personal dimension of players, especially when today you have so much exposure on social media. Does that concern you, Pedro? I mean, is vanity somehow a growing problem between players?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I think social media is a great tool, but also dangerous in the way they use, mainly because sometimes social media are used as a bubble where they tend to be loved and where they have their fans and where they post pictures and quotes, and sometimes they have not so good match or training sessions, and then, for instance, the club, the coaches approach the players and tell them a way to go, what they should improve. And sometimes what you can see on those social medias comments and the way they post is something where they can hide themselves, they can throw their responsibilities away. I'm not saying all the players, but most of the players, a lot of players do that. Also, the way they show their lives, the way some players don't protect themselves because some players, they show too much on social media. I think the players should be educated how to use social media and how to use that in their benefit, because mainly when they are younger players, an academy, they need to be educated in football-wise, education, school, but also how to walk through this new world, which is social media. That could be very, very dangerous if they're not used on the right way. But as Jordi said, I completely agree with him. We have to tell them the best pathway to go with good examples, and then is on their responsibility to take their own decisions, because they are human beings in the first place. So they have to be responsible for their decisions, but we have the responsibility to give them enough tools and the right advice for them to make their own decisions. And then we, as a coaches, a club, we take decisions regarding if they are good enough for the club or if they are on the right pathway on the club.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes you have fantastic players, but they have the worst behavior outside football. And then the club release them, and they, oh, why are you releasing him? He's so good. Yeah, but we know perhaps down the line he'll be a problem for us. So I think the clubs, the coaches, mainly the coach, because we are kind of father figure to them, we have the responsibility to help them and advise them, sometimes as a friend.
Building on that father figure idea, Edu Rubio, psychology and communication are a passion to you, as you've said. Is your dressing room door open to the players if they need to talk about these kind of situations?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've listened to obviously the guys, and with my own experiences. For me, when I go into a new changing room or a new club, whether it's to work with coaches or with players, I always say that the first thing we do is to go to the canteen and have a coffee and get to know each other, because I believe that if you are able to create an environment in which everyone, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone, not just the coach, the assistant coach, they're supposed to be important people in the changing rooms in the eyes of those people who are more traditional and believe in hierarchy. If everyone feels free to say what they think and what they feel, at any given time, you've got something special in that changing room, and you've got then the opportunity to build from there. So for me, yes, for me it's very, very important to do that, and that's the first thing I do when I go into a new environment, whether it's to work with coaches or to work with players in a team environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to pass the ball to Jordi. In my preparation to this roundtable, I read that you like to give tools to your players in order to make them understand they can't win games alone. Even in training, you never promote individuality in your exercises. But with all the things fame brings today, and the notion that fame is accessible, and with the social media to amplify them, is it really possible to develop players that want to be a functioning cog in a great machinery, or instead of believing that they are unique?
That's, as a coach, and I think so, that is one of our harder, or one of the most difficult thing to do when you have a talented player. What can you do for him to help him, but also to give him the idea that a team is a team, is not a single player. And sometimes, for sure, he will be an excellent player. He will give us that goal, that amazing goal, that tournament, that 1-against-1, that cross, wherever. But at the end, 11 players or 8 players or 7 players can do more than a single player. But on the same way, I think so that the rest of the team has to understand, as the coach, that he is unique or he is different. I don't want to put names like that player or that player, but if we can imagine that we have in our team one talented player, that talented player that the rest of the teams would like to sign him, and you know that he can give you 1,000 goals. But if you always say that to him, he will play all overvalued, I think so. And he will feel like I'm more than you, and he won't see the rest of the teammates as a teammates. And he will say, okay, every time that we are going to have a problem, you will pass the ball to me. No, it's like, I have talent, you have talent. Sometimes I will put more part of my talent, and we are going to achieve those adjectives or those objectives. And the rest of the team has to accept that. And you as a coach has to accept. And you cannot deal, under my opinion, you cannot deal or you cannot trade him on the same way that the other players, because the talent is unique. And I'm going to ask unto the rest of the coaches or to have a reflection, how many times we had talent, supposed that we have talent in front of us, and we couldn't push them up to keep growing.
Yeah.
At least this is a small reflection that I always do, and when I face someone that is very talented in front of me.
In that sense, Pedro, being football arguably a game of emotions, but in your pre-match speech, do you use emotions, or do you let emotions use you in order to achieve your goal?
On my pre-match talks, I like to, mainly the starting 11, the strategy to the game. I want the players to feel and to know. And during the week, they need, the message goes across during the week. So I just highlight the big topics we need for that match. In terms of motivation and emotions, we are human beings that if I talk slowly and very calm way, I send a message across, an emotional message. We always send kind of an emotional message. I think we need to be genuine, and the players feel that. Obviously, addressing a talk before the match, I want to fire them up, but in a way that their emotions doesn't become more important than the task they have to do collectively. Because sometimes we get teams This is my experience. We get teams, you deliver that amazing speech, you feel them, they're fired up, they go to the match, and then in 5 minutes we consider the goal. And then what's happened next? That will be the task. The task will be your tactical organization, will be the collective work that will go, be able to turn those things over. Obviously, we want to address emotions. I'll try to link life message to the game. Life message, they can understand how important are details or simple decisions on a game to be succeed as a team and as an individual. But I try to keep the balance between the emotions and the job they have to do on a pitch.
Mm-hmm. The next question is for the three of you. I would ask you for some quick answers. For the right mindset, is it a good idea to let a player know during the week that is going to be a starter in the next match? Is that good for him to know that? I could start with Edu. Sorry.
Edu, feel free to answer.
Edu or Jordi, it's the same. Pedro, you can continue.
Well, Edu or Pedro. Feel free.
I brought that up. I'm not saying that they exactly know the starting 11 on the first day of the week, but they more or less they know. I want to create a competitive environment where they understand the strategy. And fair enough, if you look at 90% of the squads at the teams on the Premier League, I don't need to be Liverpool manager to know who's going to be the starting 11. I don't think no one here needs to be. We know who are the best ones. The strategy of the game might change one or another player, injury-wise, but everyone needs to know, in my opinion, how important they can be on that match, either if they'll be on a starting 11, either they'll be on a bench, and if we're losing and we have to bring midfielders or center forward or wingers, or if you need to put another center back, we need to work those strategies. That's the way I'm thinking at the moment. Yeah. And I think that message will give time players to prepare mentally.
Yeah. Jordi?
I'm 100% agree with Pedro. Something that I would like to say is like everyone is different. Every single player is different. Perhaps we have a player that he needs to know Monday that he will play, because if not, he will suffer a lot the pressure, environment, wherever. A typical player that if he's going to be inside the roster during the warm-up, he's like over stressed. Coach or like he's overthinking and he won't perform well. Or other players that they already know what can they do and what can not, or what cannot. And as Pedro said, the 70, 80, 90% of the lineup during the week, if you are a smart player or a smart person, you will figure out who is going to play or not. Perhaps will be a position if you are going to play with 2 in front or with 3 defenders, with 5 midfielders, whatever, will be between him and me, like between one player and another player. But the rest, and as Pedro said, that he said something very interesting for me, everyone has to be ready and everyone is important. Everyone. Mm-hmm. The player that comes at minute 88, or the player that comes at minute 2 because another one got injured, they have to be there and they have to be ready to bring something different to the team. Because as a coaches, I think so that all of us, when we do subs, is because we would like to see something different. And if you as a player, you will go in, no, I should play more, the idiot coach, whatever, and I don't want to say bad words. He's losing time, and he's losing time But
Okay.
I don't know
That's
if
okay.
Edu will agree about that.
Yeah. Edu?
Voy a dejar.
Edu, your mic.
Yeah.
There you are. Now, sorry about
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I was going to say that I was going to be a little bit controversial here because
Okay. Bring it on.
because I agree with everything you've said. Nothing is there for me not to agree, but I work in a way where I'm a bit flexible, so and adaptable, and it depends on the week, it depends on the game, and it depends on the squad that you have. So I take you back to the answer that I've replied in your first question. First day, we meet up and we create an environment where everyone can say what they think and they feel. And by the way, when I say that, I don't mean that it's going to be an environment where everyone is going to say how good you are and how comfortable they are and how lovely we are, all of us. There will be days where there is a bit of tension, that there is fights, and that there is issues, and that's healthy, that's fine. Because if we don't resolve those issues and those things from the first minute, and when they do happen, at the end, something is going to happen. Whether it's that we don't achieve the targets that we all set up, or whether it's that the players don't develop in the manner they wanted to develop for the next contract, or whether it's you going home because you've lost your job, because you created some issues or you didn't solve the issues. But for me, answering your question, Rui, I don't know. If I'm honest, I don't know. I don't know whether it's best to give the 11 on Monday, on Friday, or Tuesday. And I don't have a set standard or a set way of doing it. There is certain players that need certainty. So if you know your players, give that certainty and that clarity to those players. There are other players that don't need that, because if they do have that, they won't develop. They won't really go on fire. And so I think it's about knowing your players, knowing your squad, knowing your environment, knowing your club, knowing the circumstances. And I think coaches have to be very observant, and it's all about them. It's all about your staff. It's all about your players. It's not about you. So it's not how I like it. It's what I feel is going to be the best to give the best performance out of my squad.
Okay, let's stick with you, Edu, and let's move on to the 90 minutes of the game. When it kicks off, there's plenty of limitations in sending across the message. How important is to have a player in whom you can trust to be an extension of you inside the pitch?
Very important. It's very important to have a few players who will have those leadership skills and will be able to help the rest of the players who are not having those skills or still having to develop those skills. And so I feel that the job is really from Monday to Friday. The job is really in a weekly basis to establish those connections between your staff and your players, and to be able to send the message and the clarity from Monday to Friday. So when it comes to Saturday or Sunday to your game, it's not like you have to say a lot. It's not like you have to be there constantly micromanaging people. It's more about managing, and that is difficult. Having that kind of perspective where you can just kind of like take yourself out of the box and be able to see everything. Then you really see things. If you go into the game with the anxiety that you have to, look 3 by 3, you miss the forest. And so, yes, it's important that those players are there on the grass. Yes, it's important that those players are in the squad. But ultimately, the responsibility is for each individual of the squad, not just for those who are supposed to be leaders.
Okay, Jordi, in your teams, do you seek for this player, and is important that he is, for instance, the captain of the team? Jordi?
No, sorry. Yes and no. 100% about what Edu said. about which type of coach you would like to want to be during the game, and perhaps the captain will help you. And as I said before, there are two types of captain. The first one is the captain that the coaches or the squad assigned as a captain, but he's not really the captain, the real one, the leader one. That during the tough situations or during the specific situation, he will take advantage of that, and he will be the natural leader of the team. I think so that all of us, we can think about the typical captain that he's captain nowadays because he's playing in that team for 20 years, 10 years, 6 years, whatever, and the real one, that when the situation is hard and he wished to go to the to the grass, and he wished to encourage the rest of the team. As a coach, during the game, I don't deal in a different way who is the captain and who is the real captain in terms of leadership during the game. Before, of course, all of us we've been in a club, and the captain sometimes is that one that he enters in a salary negotiation or in a bonus one, and you have to deal with him and with them different. But during the game, the natural one is that one that you need to think like you as a coach, or to think different and to come to you and say, coach, man, you are blind. This is happening now on the field. That's something that you couldn't see because you are, as Edu said, and you couldn't be there and to see what's going on. And that's something that you should take advantage of that. That's my point.
Pedro, we've talked before about the pre-match talk. What about the halftime speech? Do you have a different approach? Usually, is that really can be a game changer, the halftime talk?
Well, at least it's the only moment you have with everyone's in front of you where you can get some message across. The time is limited, so we need to be very concise and assertive. So I myself and my coaching staff, we try to cover as much as we can with simple message. So on the way into the changing room, our medical department need to assess all the players. So when we get while we're getting there, I have a quick meeting with my assistant coaches, and we talk. We highlight the points we need to address. The physio or the doctor come to us and tell us who's fit or unfit to play, and then we mix up all those. I mix up all that those points and go into the changing room, and there I try to. I like 3 points max and be very, very clear on my message. Sometimes I'm more emotional than others, but I'm trying to keep this routine because we cannot talk too much, otherwise they'll not pick it up nothing. They're tired, they want to drink, they want to eat, they want to stretch, they want some players need time for their own because they had the bad last 10-15 minutes. So I try to get a strong message. When I mean strong, it's not shouting, is clear points, assertive points. And then my coaching staff, one coach address some players, the back four, imagine with a little details about defending or how to build out the back. And then my other assistant coach addressed midfielders and attacking players, what spaces we need to exploit more, or how we should press when they build up at the back. So those little message, which is very in towards one direction. I don't spread that message to everyone. I get a collective message, very assertive, very, very clear, 3 points max, and then my assistant coaches get that message to the players after. Okay.
I'm going to return the ball to Edu. I have this image in my head for several years. It was in an Arsenal game that I remember. They were drawing with an underdog at the Emirates, and the game was heading to its closure. And it was in the Arsene Wenger spell. They were always maintaining their strategy, passing the ball, trying to find spaces very patiently. And they were in extra time, and nothing was happening. Everyone was tense, nervous at the Emirates. And then all of a sudden in the final play, this actually scored the goal, the match winner, with that strategy, with that sort of passing ball and being very patiently. So my question is, should we always keep, if the game is not according to plan, should we always keep our strategy, or because we're going to have advantages in the process in the long term, or should we have solid alternative plans to change the games when we need to?
It's a very good question. I'll start by answering that. It's funny, when you were talking and you were saying that you were in that game and the people felt nervous because we were in extra time and we were not winning the game. Well, you were nervous, and so were probably the other 65,000 people there, but not the team, and not the manager probably, because they had a strategy and they believed that strategy, which you 65,000 other people there and probably millions of people back at home thought that would be quite difficult to win the game with that strategy. But the team and the manager and the staff believed that was the winning strategy. And so my answer is, when you have a clear identity and when you have a clear work pattern in what you've done, and when your mindset as a team, and when I say team, I mean squad, staff and managers, believe in that, that's the winning formula. That belief and that faith in that what you're doing is going to fit the purpose. Now, that doesn't mean that you always have to play that way. There are teams that don't have the capability to sustain that identity for 90 odd minutes. And so the reality is that you have to then change things in the last 10 minutes, in the last 5 minutes. So I wouldn't like to give an answer saying, no, you must keep that way of playing, or you mustn't, because it depends on the team, it depends on the game, it depends on the day. And I think that's where you earn your money as a coach. I think you earn your money as a coach on match day, in halftime and substitutions and last 10 minutes. Now, because you can't really affect a lot as a manager, the game as such, you affect the Monday to Friday, but you can definitely affect what you do in that team talk, what you do in those substitutions, and when you do in those 10 minutes. So if you are Arsenal and you have created an identity and a DNA that is made you a winning team, why change it in the last 5 minutes? And why feel the nerves or the anxiety when you know that you are a winning team because of that? If you are another team that doesn't have that winning formula, perhaps you do need to change. Therefore, sometimes if I was the Arsenal manager in that time with that squad, with that winning formula, probably I wouldn't have changed and I wouldn't have felt nervous. If I was the manager in a different club with a different set of players, with a different sort of context, then maybe I wouldn't have felt nerves, but I would have changed things.
Jordi, is it important to build the appropriate mindset to the players for the final minutes of a game that it is not decided yet, one goal difference, everything can happen? Do you somehow believe in the Fergie time?
Definitely. Nowadays with the big data, that you can see almost everything, and you can know before which team if is going to score the last 20 minutes, or they used to score and you as a coach after that you will create something to allow yourself and to protect about this big data. That's something that during the week you have to give that information unto your players, and also that's something that during the halftime and during the previous the pre-game talk, I used to say I used to start with 2-3 good points or good comments about what are we doing good. We are attacking right with the left rail. We are creating a lot of chances with the long balls, wherever 2-3 spotlights or action that we are doing good. And after that, what I like to do is to put them on attention that remember that team, the last 6-7 minutes, they used to score. And how they used to score. They used to score in a long ball. They used to score in a cross. They used to score in 1-against-1. And that's something that football is learning from other sports. In other sports, it's very common since the beginning of the history of that sport. Basketball, five-a-side, handball. I don't know how do you say in English that sport that is handball. Like, sorry for that, the word. Like, and you pass with the small ball and you pass the ball. It's 6 against 6. Handball,
yeah.
No? Yeah. Sorry. And they always use it, that big data, and that last 2 minutes, that team is going to create that situation there. And you as a coach, if you already know that, you have to give that information and to the players, and giving them no over motivation or over stress. Is, guys, nothing wrong. This most probably this is going to happen. This is how I would like you to react, or as a team, this is how we are going to react. But if we overstress them that, oh, watch out, they are going to cross, at the end, the ball will come. And they have to be the leader of that situation, or they have to be able and how to dominate that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pedro, is this also important to you to study these final minutes in the way that your players can prepare to them?
It is very, very important. Our conversation starts how important is the head coach to know a lot about the other departments. I would say as well, the head coach always managing information as well. What to say, when to deliver certain information to the players and into the changing room. I would add something to Jordi, very important to me. I'm sure he probably tried to say that. If we know what, and we have information, what our opposition team are going to do on the last 10 minutes. And I actually agree a lot with what Edu said. We can affect the players during the week, the match during the week, halftime, and with the subs. And then we need to create scenarios during the week, saying, guys, if we're winning, they'll try to do this. If we losing, they'll do that. I'll share a perfect example. I'm not saying this is the best drill or idea. It's just an idea, something we've done. One of the training sessions we've done with my under-19 squad was I split them into two. We done 11v11. And one of my assistants given context to the players saying, guys, you losing 2-0. We need 1 goal to move forward. Next stage of the competition. And then the other guys, we give a different context. Now you show us what strategy we've been working and what you put in place. So we obviously we want to see their response to that, their behavior, but to understand if they're actually getting our message across. And then highlighting again what Jordi said, it's very, very important to me is create a scenario and say, guys, calm down. This is what they're going to try to do. And sorry, my English, we're going to fuck them up. We'll do this. We'll do this way. Be calm. We're going to win. Everything will be okay. Make a clear message and confident message to the players. We're not going to work it out all the time, obviously. But we need to trust and we need to believe in our philosophy, like you started asking to Edu. Arsenal will keep passing the ball because they believe on that. If you believe the strategy you put in place, we have to show that confidence when you talk to the players.
Yeah. So after the final whistle is blown, Edu, everyone goes to the locker room. Do you find that ideal to address your players about the game right there, or in the team bus, or is it better to cool things down and address them in the first week train?
Again, the more we talk, the more you ask, and the more we talk with Pedro and with Jordi, the more I see that I'm quite loose and quite flexible, because I don't have loads of routines. I mean, Monday to Friday, yes, I have my training routine. It's very, very important Monday to Friday to keep that routine and to make sure that there is a certainty and a clarity of how you want to work and how you want to create your DNA with your players. And I agree, and it's a great example what you've said there, Pedro. With that strategy in your training sessions, and I'm a great believer of that kind of training methodology. But then when it comes to the game, it depends on the day. It depends on the mood. I think a manager has to be able to smell the flowers, smell the environment, feel what happens in the changing room, feel what's happened from Monday to Friday, feel what's happened in that game. If it is a game where we've just lost by 1-0 but we've been very competitive, perhaps you only want to go there and say, lads, you did great. We're going to talk more tomorrow, and just leave it like that, because maybe they don't need more. Sometimes I'm a great believer that sometimes managers, we do things because that's what we need. We do things because we feel our own emotions, whether it's guilt, responsibility, whatever, but we don't really observe what they need. So answering your question, at the end of the game, I would observe what my team does and how they behave. I would talk to my staff, and then I would either talk or not talk, or talk just with a few, or just say, well done, lads, we'll see you on the bus. I don't think for myself that I need to have a clear strategy of what to do after the game, because I believe that clarity would be in my own thoughts, in my own needs, and in my own comfort zone. For me, I'd rather getting myself out of the comfort zone and observe and really deliver what we feel as a staff that those players need in that moment.
Yeah. Next question to Jordi. Obviously, when we win, the sun is shining, weather is sweet. But when we lose, it's a different life on Monday. Jordi, do you prepare your players for that new life, for that new beginning? Because sometimes it's easy to have a good spell, 5-6 matches winning or not losing, or it depends on your goals, and then all of a sudden 1 or 2 matches that you don't win and everything changes. How important is to prepare players for that moment?
For me, it's very important, but not to do it on Monday. That's something that for me, you have to do it on the preseason. On the preseason, what I should do, or what I normally do, is to create an alliance. Is something like an internal code that, guys, we are here to win, but all of us, we understand and we have to accept that one day, 2 or 3 days, or whatever, I hope no 100%, we are going to lose. But how, as a team, we are going to react in front of this losing period, or this bad period, this hole, this black mirror, whatever you want to say, will be the difference between to keep going down or to stop and go up. If you are ready to talk about it before that moment or that situation came, all of us, we are calm down. All of us, we are going to be able to talk. I'm a type of player that I don't like that you will push to me that much, or as a coach, I would like that you will come to me if you are not agree on that. And you create like alliance, like something that is the internal rule. just before that this black situation or bad situation will come. Because if you will jump on Monday, like guys, yesterday we did, the atmosphere or the situation is not that good to receive new feedbacks. You are close. You are like, I don't want to receive now a bad feedback. But if you, before you talk about it, how we are going to react in front of those situations, I think so that you are going to take a lot of advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the match has ended, and you are at home, resting, preparing for the next week. Pedro, how do you deal with other people's views about the game, being on social media or coffee talks, your friends, other coaches? Do you deal well with critics, positive or not, or do you try to avoid to hear too much from that and build on your own thoughts for the next week?
Well, depends who are they. If he's a friend, I know he's well educated and knowledgeable as a football knowledgeable, and his opinion is a value to me, and I'll be perhaps the first one to ask him his opinion. If he's someone at a coffee, well, we live in a democracy. He can express his opinion. It doesn't affect me. It does affect me when sometimes, mainly when you work at the first team level, and I had that experience already, and you go somewhere with your family and you lose a game, and then someone says something been awful or nasty towards your family. That's not nice. That obviously affects you. I never been through that experience too many times, but I had a couple. And then I like to ask and share my opinion and my thoughts to my coaching staff, and that is very, very important. To some other friends that work in different contexts, what would they do in these circumstances with this scenario I have here, with more experience than me? That is very, very important to me. And when their opinion come with facts, and not like if they're just having a chat in a coffee shop or just watching TV and bring you the same feedback. To me, the most important thing is who are these kind of people that provide you feedback, and if you value that. The coaching staff is very, very important to analyze the game, to prepare the game. And otherwise, all the criticism around this job, it makes part of the business. If you're not ready and strong enough to deal with that, you're in the wrong job. I think it's pretty easy. I think you learn to deal with that through the way, obviously. At the beginning, it would be very, very easy. And again, that comes the way you express yourself and you expose yourself on social media sometimes. If you show too much, and if you look to be very, if your comments, your posts, and the way you express on press conference is to create conflict and problems, that will come back to you at some point. I think if you approach the daily routine with facts, a moderate speech, I think will be okay to. And that's the job.
Okay, so when it comes to the most effective, reflective coaching techniques, what's your preferences, Edu? How do you do your analysis in terms of journaling, statistics, video sessions? Do you like to be leading that part, or do you delegate more to your coaching staff?
Good question. I work very much as a team, so everyone has got their roles and responsibilities, and of course then you've got the performance analysts who are going to be creating the data and going to be creating the clips. However, the assistant will also create clips. I will create clips. I will analyze the game, and then we'll put it together on the Monday. So let's say the game has been Saturday. Sunday we all have to obviously watch the game a few times, analyze things, starting to create a debate and exchange things, and then on Monday morning we will sit down and we will go through it. But on Saturday though, I like switching off. I mean, I think it's important to then leave your emotions to one side and see everything then from a very objective way. So as a person, I'm very balanced and calm. So I obviously now in lockdown, home, there's no chance to obviously go for dinner and just relax. But then I do like techniques like you're asking, specific techniques. So I like meditation. I like just yoga, calm myself down. And then on Sunday go for a run early doors or gym, and then start working on the processes of analyzing everything and discussing everything as a team. So then on Monday morning we can sit down and we can make sure that there is a clear and objective and reflection, because that is the danger at times of reflection, that it could be very subjective. Another technique I do on the coach when we go, if it is an away game or when I get home, if it is a home game, I do have a journal. I do like writing down my thoughts. And fun enough, it's most of the times those thoughts are very, very important for yourself, to be able to learn more about yourself and to be able to control and balance yourself much more than thoughts that you might then have for the team itself. Or that's how I see it. Is only when you sit down and you clearly watch the videos, analyze the data. Obviously, loads of coaches here, I don't want to patronize anyone, so loads of coaches here will have their own software, their own different platforms, their own different templates. They will see different stats. We all know that there are certain stats that might contribute to certain things and others might not be that good to analyze. So anyway, for me, clearly chilling down a little bit after the game, having a bit of social time, a bit of yoga, relaxation, meditation, early doors on Sunday, look after yourself, go for a run, go into the gym, and then start analyzing the game, put it together with your team, analyze everything in detail, but very objectively. And then on Monday morning, we hit the ground and we make sure that we have a working week in accordance to our DNA, what we set to do from day one. So not being very kind of like on the back of the game, and then analyzing a little bit things from the game and things that we need to do for the next game. Sometimes you do have a cup game on Wednesday. There is not a lot of time to to dwell around. So that's how I work.
Yeah. How about you, Jordi? What's your routine in this more scientific part of the game? Jordi?
Yeah, I don't know. Someone muted to me. Sorry for that. Guys, both of you, Edu and Pedro, you said something very interesting. I'm gonna take your idea, Edu, about taking like my own diary or my newspaper or my own private book about that, because I never did that, and that's true that as a coach we need to brief and we need to keep out our ideas, because a game is some games are very intensity, and we have to be able to bring. And from you, Pedro, I used to ask to my mom. She doesn't know nothing about football, zero. But she knows in general what's going. Like, he's upset, he scored, he's lost on the game. You Jordi, you were upset, you were angry, and she's like a good measure to understand what happened into the game. After that, with the rest of the staff, we analyze the game. The first one is like with a coffee, or with a Coke, like chilling. We do jokes about he felt alone. How can he miss that? Or like as a chilling. And sometimes we stop, we eat, and after that, each of us we double check a game in terms of offensive, defensive, and myself as a general. and we normally pick up 2 or 3 players that we would like to talk about that situation, because he's been doing the same mistakes during all the season, or he's been doing a great action, and we would like to push him to do it more often. And we after that we take the offensive analysis, defensive, and our highlights. We create a mix and we give them 1.5 minutes, no more than 2 minutes. That video, we send it to the players and they have to check before the training session. Because this is something that we push them a lot, to have this culture to be ready before the training session. How is going to work this week, or what are they going to face during the week. That's something that we did good. That's something that we couldn't do it better, and this is how we are going to work during the session. This is more or less at the end short and narrow for the players, because as a coach we can talk 2 million hours about one game, but we have to give them short and narrow information.
Okay, we're heading to the end of this roundtable. Family time is being mentioned here in the chat. So my challenge for the three of you is to give me a quick answer on the family time, based on what has happened yesterday. That Portuguese coach Abel, he won the Libertadores with Palmeiras, and at the end of in the aftermath, in the press conference, he was saying that, well, working abroad, very distant from home, there's a part that no one knows, and for him being a better coach, he was a worse son and a worse father, and he suffered very much with the absence with his family. I would ask you some thoughts from you, being away from home, from your experience. How is the best way to deal with it?
Well, I can start.
Pedro, yeah.
Pedro, start. And if you know the key, let us know, because.
Well, I'll just share. I had a quite the same experience. I worked for 5 years in England, and when my first child was born, I was there. So I kind of understand that his words, and what I tried to do, the way I managed that was to keep myself as busy as possible. Otherwise, I would drive myself crazy, and I would go to work early doors, and after the work, I would go for running, like Edu Rubio said. I would go for gym, and I would go for maybe a coffee shop or drink after, read a little bit, and then just try to keep myself as busy as possible. That was my key, because at the end of the day, you'll turn up on your own on a bedroom, waiting for the next day while your family is at home. And for me, the part was the more difficult was not being away from my girlfriend, was to know the impact that my decision to leave the country had on my parents. And they going towards the end of their lives, and I didn't let them to enjoy my presence in their life during 5 years. That was something that touched me a lot, and was very hard to me to cope with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Edu?
Come on, you go, Jordi.
Okay.
Well, for me, as Pedro said, there are 2 points. When you are far away and from the family, and you are alone, like my best tip to give you is what Pedro did. Like, I wake up at 7, go to the sport, go to work. After that, go to work, go to the sport, go to sleep, and it's like our own destruction routine. Like, it's work, sport, work, and sport. Something to allow you to don't allow you to think that much. My my problem is when my family or my girlfriend or my child are with me, because I wish to keep that rhythm that I had before, that obsession, that obsess, but I have to mix it with them. And I would like to stay with them, but I also would like to keep my professionality and my higher expectation about what does it mean to manage a team. And to balance this sometimes is very difficult, or at least, as I said to Pedro, if you know how to do it, you can text me. I will give you my phone. I will fly to visit to you, explain me, and I will be very happy to understand. This is my two problems that I face it, or the family with me or alone. This is, I don't know if Edu had the same or not.
Just let's say on that, they actually, when they come over to visit you, I was trying to do as much as possible during the week to save time to spend with them. And lucky enough, everyone at the club was very aware of that. And I actually used to say to the manager, listen, my family is over next couple of days. So soon the training session it's done, I'll have lunch, do my job and go home. And sometimes I'll do all my match analysis or reports at home with the family, because that would be very hard to manage. They flying over to England and then you stay 8 to 8 at the club. That would be pointless for them to be over with me. But Jordi, I completely identify with that problem where we have all that routine to keep yourself busy, and all of a sudden, okay, I have to go back home now, which is a good problem, by the way.
Yeah,
no, it's a good problem. But while you are with them, you are at least with me, I was thinking, should I be there? No, I should be here and to enjoy that time. Like, I'm not seeing my girlfriend since 1 year now. What she's going to think about me? I'm a freaky of a sport. I'm a nerf one. I'm idiot. Whatever.
Okay. So Edu, your final say?
Yeah, very interesting. Again, it's difficult because we are not talking about our roles as manager. We are talking about being people, being a human being, being a person. It doesn't matter whether you're a football manager or whether you work in any other industry. We all appreciate family time. We all appreciate being with our friends, and we all need that. Human beings are animals that are there to be related and associated with people. So we do need that, and we need to keep the balance. Now, it's difficult at times when you are in periods of Wednesday, Saturday games, or when you are involved in a summer competition. Always difficult. But what I during this lockdown, where I always had it in my head, but I've started to develop what I did suggest to everyone there in the chat box, my energy game, and it's exactly that. And by the way, it's free of charge in for the website, so I'm not trying to make business here. I'm just trying to help people. Basically, my belief and the belief of the psychologists, sociologists, and energy therapists that work with me is that it's important to work on yourself. It's important to work on your emotions and your feelings, and find your true self as a person, and make sure that you are actually working on your own emotions. Because then when things like this happen, tough times where we cannot see the family, tough times where we cannot see our friends, or moments during the season, regardless of the pandemic and the lockdown, where we cannot spend as much time with our loved ones as we would like, we are capable of finding that balance, and we are capable of finding it, balancing our emotions, talking to them in a different way, so there is no issues. And it's very difficult, but I think it's possible. So I think it's, for us as people, important to work on your own emotions and your true self, and really finding what you can do in every circumstances and living in the now. Again, this is not a football question. And that's what I like. Also, I like to finish with that sometimes we are very egocentric in our industry, thinking that, oh, it's very tough to, because football is a very demanding industry. Well, all industries are. All people are going through the same things. All people have loads of things to deal with and to manage. And I think the minute we understand that, we become more human. And when you become more human and you become more humble, you've got a better chance to manage those emotions.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So our time is up. For about 1 hour, we have learned a bit more about the multiple challenges that football coaches face these days. Thank you very much to the three of you for your time and your expertise. Well, join us again for the next Coaches Club Academy Roundtable. Details will follow across our social media channels at Coaches Club Academy. Thanks everyone online for watching. See you all again and take care.
Massive thanks, everyone. Thank you,
everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Pedro.
Bye.
Gracias. Gracias, Jordi. Cuida mucho.
Un abrazo.
Cuidado.
Bye, guys. See you later. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
See you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.